Thursday here in the Pacific Northwest. I am Nancy McSherry Jensen. I'm CEO and co-founder of the Swing Shift. And today we're going to be talking about pivoting or returning to a technical role after a break. We have Yasmin Ali from Skillspire with us. So we're delighted to hear her remarks. First, of course, we have to talk about some housekeeping. So first, if this is your first time to Hangout Habits, welcome. We run these every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We are live and online. Our goal is to provide relevant job search tools and strategies to folks who are either looking to shift roles or careers or to get back after a break. That's very topical right now. I think we've all been reading the news reports about women who are taking a pause to take care of things at home with their kids, but we know they need to get to work. And so we're here to help you do that. So the purpose of the Hangout Habits is to give you some actionable tips and some guidance on your job search from experts in the industry. We also have the opportunity to do some networking at the end of the calls. In addition, we do have another program, an accountability program. It just started this week. So if you need a little extra boost to help you move your career search forward, we're here for you. These are small groups. We have moderated topics and real-time progress check-ins. The beauty of the accountability program is we meet once a week live and online, and then you meet with your group at another time to work on the next step of your job search. So if you've been thinking about that and you thought, oh, I forgot to get in on it, you still got time, you can sign up on our website. Coming up, we're gonna have Yasmin talk in just a minute. I'll introduce her to you. Next week, I am delighted to tell you that we have Bridget Schulte, who is the author of a book called Overwhelmed, and she is going to talk about how to make it all work. She's got tips from the Better Life Lab. This is a project run from the New America Consortium in Washington, D.C. I had the opportunity to hear her speak on Fresh Air in the spring, and this is when big bets pay off. I called her and said, hey, I thought what you were talking about was super interesting and relevant. Would love to have you on Hangout Habits to talk about how to put all these pieces together. She has built her career in journalism and is now an author and working in policy research. I'm really excited to hear what she has to say. The week after that, I feel so lucky. We have all these amazing speakers. The week after that, Adrienne Musanegi, who is the Senior Director of Product, and Britt Provost, who's the Executive VP and Chief People Officer at Accolade, which is a healthcare company. They're not a startup anymore. They had a very successful IPO earlier this year. They're going to come and talk with us about the power of networking. Adrienne and Britt and I have known each other over the years. We have a funny story about how the three of us connected, and we're going to talk about their careers and how they've each made very interesting pivots, both from a role and from an industry perspective. Adrienne started in the beauty industry. Britt has come up through the HR and compensation business, but she's changed industries as well. So, and they are both huge fans of women returning and switching roles. So I'm really excited to welcome them. But today, I'm about to hand this over to Yasmin. She's going to talk about pivoting or returning to a technical role after a break, but I want to tell you a little bit about her first. She is a generous community builder and connector who appreciates the power of education for improving the quality of life. Yasmin's company Skillspire aims to advance the careers and futures of immigrants, women, and underrepresented talent. Yasmin herself started her career at AT&T and Boeing, among other organizations, in a technical role. She then took a 10-plus year break to, like many of us, to care for her family. And when it was time to return, she discovered, like many women, how difficult that could be, even in a technical capability. So at that time, Yasmin started Skillspire, and she envisions a tech sector that better reflects the populations it serves by training and supporting diverse, historically underrepresented communities in their journey to enter their technical careers. Yasmin and her company have grown. They started at about the same time we did. Her work has been recognized nationwide, including an appearance at the State of the Union address as a guest of Representative Susan Del Bene. So I'm going to hand things over to Yasmin now. I'm honored to have her here. We're really excited to hear what Yasmin has to say, and we love the work that Skillspire is doing. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let her share hers. And Yasmin, welcome.
Morning. Hi, everyone. I am going to share my screen before I start talking. Do you see my screen? Thank you, Nancy and Sarah, for having me over at the Swing Shift. It's been a while, actually. I think the last time I spoke, I think was back in 2017. Time flies. Well, we're having fun, I should say. So, since she, came back and asked me, is like, talk a little bit about, returning back to work after a long break. I thought I would focus on, skills that are needed if you're looking to transition into tech. And when I say tech, it's not just the technology industry. Every industry nowadays has a tech need. And, how can you, and I want to focus a little bit on the soft skills that's needed as well as the technology skills that are needed. But before that, I would love to tell you a little bit about what I'm planning to do. Tell you a little bit about my journey, how I got here, and then how I turned into, I should say, a computer engineer geek to a social impact entrepreneur, and what are the skills that have really helped me through this journey. So just to give you a little bit of background, I came to this country about 29, 30 years ago as an immigrant. And the minute I walked in, I was fortunate enough, the next month, I was enrolled in a program. I actually moved to Huntsville, Alabama. And I still remember when I landed in the Los Angeles airport and I said, we're taking the next flight to Alabama. The guy's like, Alabama? It's like, who would go to Alabama? But that's where my journey started. So I enrolled in the bachelor's in computer information systems program. Did that in about, I think, 3 years. I actually finished it fast because I did have accounting background from India, and then went on to do my master's in computer science. So once I was done with the course, I was, of course, very eager to start in my career, and that's when I joined Boeing and I worked in several other startups. And through those times, there was one thing that now looking back, it seems like yes, I was able to do that with the help of a lot of mentorship from people around me. Uh, but degrees seem to have lost its value right now. I heard a talk by, John Maxwell the other day, and he says that the Harvard Business Review says that when you get a degree, the value of it is only there for about the next 5 years. After that 5 years, people don't consider that degree. Your experience is what really matters. And so going back to my story, so after working for about 10 years, I took a break. And during that break, of course, it was for my family. I had my son after a very long time. So I said, okay, it's a complete break. But little did I know that I was going to be doing a lot of community activism. I became a community volunteer. I was into education, just helping people out, people who came into this country with, with no background, and even as simple as hey, I need to fill out this form as part of getting an apartment, and how do I go about filling out these forms? Where do I apply for, say, food stamps? Just helping them through this thing. I got very involved in these kinds of, community activism activities. My husband is actually one of the founders of an organization here in Redmond, Washington, which is called the Muslim Association of Puget Sound. And if you know anything about that community, we have over, I think it's probably 8,000 families that come there, speaking about 60 different, languages. So it's diversity is, very, very prominent there. It's, front and central. So when working with all those people, and you can see people from all the way from the, the C-suite to, to the people that are, driving Uber and, doing service, working in the service industry. Because I was part of the education committee, I got to interact with a lot of these families. Ideally, they used to bring their children there for education, be it religious or secular. And then it kind of transitioned more into the adult education part. And so after about, my kids are much older right now, they're in college and then the other one in eighth grade. I was itching to get back to work as well. But, just I was scared. I was nervous. Here, when I left the job, I was making a six-figure salary. And now after a break, I felt like I was starting from scratch all over again. I was looking to see, is like, what should I learn? Things have changed. Back then we did something and now it's completely different. Technologies have changed and people look at you differently. Um, but I realized that, the experiences that we bring to the table, even if we were not in the industry, is huge. Just the fact that, the amount of multitasking that we do around the house and, all the different things that we're involved in, those, those, um, those things bring a huge value to the table. And so when I wanted to, get back, I was very clear that I didn't want a 9 to 5 job. I wanted something which was a marriage between community and technology. And I had a good friend when we were talking. He mentioned that, hey, there's a lot of demand for talent here, for tech talent. And, how about training? So I thought about it. It seemed like a fantastic idea, but I carved my niche. I said, I'm going to focus on women and minorities and immigrants who come to this country with prior degrees from their countries. But when they get here, it's, it doesn't mean anything. They're all doing, working as an Uber driver or working as, at the Port of Seattle or at the Amazon warehouse or, just jobs that they, they could be doing so much more because of their background, but because of lack of network, because of lack of resources, there's no one to mentor them and guide them. The day they land in this country, they have to get started with whatever that they need to make money to, take care of their family. So it was a struggle. So I figured I'm going to concentrate on this population, be a mentor, be a bridge, be an ally for them. And that's how Skillspire was born. So Skillspire's main mission is it's a coding boot camp. So basically we train you in software engineering skills. And our mission is to empower these underrepresented communities, women, minorities, veterans. And I can tell you about, Roman, who's featured here. She came from Ethiopia. She had a chemistry major, and she said that, what, I don't like it. I want to switch careers and transition to a better paying job, a better secure job. And she did fantastic. And now she got into an Amazon Alexa apprenticeship and working at Amazon right now. So these are some of the stories. The stories, if I were to tell you, are extremely powerful. But I just want to show you a quick video, and then we can move on to the next slide. And I hope this video works and you can hear me.
On our loved ones, we realize We start learning from the time we come into this world. We learn how to solve. We learn about our loved ones. We realize that protecting our planet starts with us. We experience togetherness, fun, relationships, love, affection, excitement. We seek new challenges beyond our planet. We look to science in pursuit of betterment. We learn the importance of diversity, inclusiveness, teamwork, success. Our lifelong learning and experience helps us to move through life from one phase to another. We never stop learning. Our goal at Skillspire is to teach people in-demand job skills, such as coding, to help them transit to a new career or improve their job prospect in a world where coding skill is becoming increasingly important across industries.
So that's just a quick video about Skillspire. So after talking about all this stuff, I wanted to not just talk about myself here, but then what are the skills that have really helped me grow? Um, okay. Okay. So when I look at, some of the tech skills that are in demand right now, if you are interested in, say, the finance area, fintech, blockchain seems to be huge. That's one thing that is growing. And of course, AI and machine learning, that seems to be the talk of the town. AI in everything. Cloud computing with Azure and AWS, going global. Cloud computing seems to be, very, very much in demand. Another very intriguing area is also data analytics. You know, every company wants to learn more about how and what we buy, what we like and dislike. Even before we log into Amazon, Amazon knows what we like. How do they do these things? So they are constantly collecting all the data. Data is actually considered gold right now. And analyzing these data. And I don't have to say how important cybersecurity is at this time when all of us are working from home. And also UX design, they want to provide an easy user interface. um, and for all these things, I would say that coding becomes like the foundation course now. And there are a lot of women who actually come to me saying, what, I'm not really interested in becoming a software engineer as such. I'm not interested in coding. But to them, I would say that's fine. You don't have to choose a job that is a software engineering, coding, programming job. But with a basic foundation in the coding fundamentals, you can get into so many other non-technical jobs that are out there, like a project management role, the DevOps role. But because you have that foundation, now you can have an intelligent conversation with the development team, as against when you don't have that, the technical skills. The team doesn't consider you as, they don't listen up to you. And working with different companies, I see that all the time. So moving on to some of the soft skills, and I would say that soft skills are probably really, really important and crucial at this time. With all of us working remote, still I think these skills are very important. And I want to start with proactive communication. And by proactive communication, what I mean is, if you're part of a team, or if you're even part of a community, to be known that if you want a person to take you seriously, you need to add value to the team. So if you have ideas, bring them to the table. However silly it may sound, but by pitching in your ideas and being an active communicator in the thing, in the process, you show that you are part of this group. right? A lot of times, in fact, as a small startup, we hire a lot of interns. And one thing that I see is, they sometimes, they under communicate. And I tell them that, what, with this time especially, it's better to over communicate rather than you not communicating with me. Because if you hide in your behind the screen and just not say anything, then I don't know what you're thinking. So proactive communication is very important. Networking, of course, it's this. I don't think we can live in this era without networking. And it said that's over 70% of jobs are filled by networking. So, and for a person who is very conscious, I would say I'm not an extrovert. Um, but to build my business, I had to network. I had to reach. I use LinkedIn as a huge channel. I reach out to people. Of course, when I reach out to them, I do say that, hey, I'm Yasmin, this is what I do, and I would love to chat and have a conversation and see if there's any synergy. And you want to make sure that you're providing value to them and they provide value to you. So it's very important. And then working with a mentor. Uh, this is, it would seem like a no-brainer. When we're stuck in, some challenges that we go through, we always go to our friends to talk about it, right? The same thing applies when you're at work and you have some challenging things, and even with the business, finding founding a starting a new company and running a business is quite the ride. I mean, I'm sure Nancy and Sarah can relate to that. I don't have a co-founder. Initially that was my main goal. It's like, what, I need to find that right co-founder. But I did search around and I just didn't find the right fit. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this solo. But I do have quite a few mentors that I reach out to when I run into issues and problems. It's great sounding board. They brainstorm with me. They provide support when I have to go present at a big conference. They become your ally and they advocate for you. Those are huge things. And I would say that, SwingShift is providing this fantastic platform here where you can easily find these mentors. So mentorship is really, really important, whether you're starting out your career or even when you're at the top. We all need mentors.
Yasmin, I had a quick question. Should I save it till the end?
Sorry?
I had a question. Should I save it till the end?
Or no, actually, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
Great. It was actually on the networking slide that you had. So I looked at your website and your advisory board, which is very impressive for your company. Did you reach out to them via LinkedIn to start a conversation? Did you know them? How did you put that together? Because I think that translates to our own personal advisory board, if you will. And it's a group of people, same as mentors, similar to mentors. You can surround yourself during this job search where you can go and seek advice. And I was just curious how you put that board together for your company.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of them I had known. I think there were a couple of people in there that I knew them. And then I wanted to have a diverse board. I wanted to have women in there. I wanted to have people of color in there, and also from different industries, be it finance, be it corporate, be it, a startup founder, so that, I can go to each person when I'm stuck with, any problem, right? So that's why. And so I think mostly it was LinkedIn. And then also through how you make those connections, it's like, okay, I get connected to Nancy, and then Nancy connects me to another person, and then I go have coffee with them, and there's a synergy, and they're very interested in what I do, and I reach out to them and say, hey, would you like to be in the advisory board? So that's how I did it.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So emotional intelligence is, I know it's been thrown around a lot, but I think it's a huge factor. And, being empathetic, having that empathy, accountability, reliability, those are all key factors. And I really feel that as women, we're much more capable of this EQ that they keep talking about, you know, um, because we deal with a lot of, our kids, right? And, it's always a juggling act with the kids. What is it that don't sweat the small stuff. And, when do you give in, choose your battles. And those kinds of things are huge when it comes to even when you're running a business. When do you make, what sort of questions you ask, and when do you make that move. It's not just about me all the time, but also thinking about how do I collaborate and provide value to this other person, right? So emotional intelligence, I feel, is a huge factor. And then I mean, especially now, continuous learning. And I heard the other day when I was listening to a podcast that's like, you learn, you unlearn, and you relearn. That's what we need to do at this time. Um, be it soft skills, be it the technical skills, whatever it may be. I think we need to be in this trajectory of learning all the time. And I see within Skillspire, I do see a lot of people who keep asking us, like, I've been in the automotive industry, I've been a car salesman, I'm tired of this job, I want to get to a place where it's more secure. So I talk to people like that, so many different people, and all these people are looking to upskill and learn new things. And and also it gives us the confidence. Like, for instance, when I left, I kept thinking that, hey, I have a master's in computer science. It's going to be a piece of cake to walk into a job. Little did I know that, that it kind of expired. And I had to focus on entire relearning so many different things. And, it played a huge factor. And, the best way is, going back to your mentor and kind of talking to them. It's like, this is where my passion is, this is what I love to do, and this is where I see myself. And sometimes you don't have those things figured out early on, but if you do a little bit more soul searching and kind of researching things that are out there that really really attracts you, then I would kind of chart the path, towards those things. So continuous learning is absolutely, absolutely important.
Hey, Yasmin, it's Nancy. I have a question, came in on the chat. Mentoring is definitely, it's super important for your career and your business growth. As a woman of color and as an immigrant, do you have some guidance about how to find a mentor who's willing to guide? We have some ideas, but I'd like to hear it from you first.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's a tough one to answer as well. Because you meet so many people, and sometimes you go talk to them and feel like, hey, he may be a great mentor, she may be a great mentor, but after a while, you just don't have that connection. It's like, you have plenty of acquaintances and friends, but you connect with only a very few people, right? So a mentor is also a person that you're very confident in saying some of your vulnerabilities. That there are some things um, that I'm good at, and being able to say that, right? I'm good at this stuff, but then these are the things that I really lack. And, asking for help that way. What I found personally in working with mentors, um, you have to become a friend with them first and kind of get to know them before you consider them a mentor. And you also have to kind of look up and say and have a trusting relationship. And how did I go about finding my mentors? It's through those communities that I worked with. I worked with them and I see what they bring to the table. I see the giving mentality and the value that they brought, and that's how I approached them. And I said, you know what, I would love to run this by you. What do you think? So if you had a good mentor, they would absolutely be available to you all the time and be extremely supportive of you.
And so I'm gonna jump in and add a couple of ideas here. There are a couple of formal mentoring programs out there. One is called Tribute Mentorship, and it's particularly for technical and cloud roles. They do mentor matching. So they take people, Heather had asked, what about me? Well, Tribute Mentorship might be a way to go, because they take women who are currently working in roles and match them to women who are looking to get into those same roles. So that's one way to go. The other thing that you could look at are communities like Women in Product, Women in Cloud. Women in Cloud in particular is super active. And as Yasmin said at the top of this presentation, technology pervades every role in every industry at this stage in the game. So I think that it's important to recognize that those communities they are both broad and deep. And so I suggest you look at those. And somebody had asked, is Tribute only for women who are already employed? Nope, they're great. They will work with people who are looking. Sarah Haggard, who's the CEO, had done a presentation for us earlier this year. So I don't, Yasmin, I don't know, have you worked with any of these orgs? Because
Yeah,
I think
I am part of Women in Cloud, and
yes,
it's a very, very vibrant organization. In fact, we just had they had an award for Gabriella Schuster.
yes,
Just received the Athena Leadership Award, and from 8 to 10 in the morning, we had an event congratulating her. So
right.
yeah, it's an amazing organization.
Yeah. And then somebody was asking about HR. We can look, I don't know anything. I know the SHRM is pretty active. We can certainly look around, and we can post that in the post show notes and put it on the Facebook community site. So Yasmin, I barged in on here. What's your final thought for people who are looking to make this jump? When you and I originally talked, we said, gosh, the soft skills are just as important, if not more important, than the hard skills. What's the biggest change that you've seen from when you were working before and when you're working now?
It's a lot of different things. I think I've grown so much just in this 4 years, I should say.
Yeah.
I've gotten to know so many more people. My LinkedIn is full of great people that I reach out to when I need something, and they reach out in turn as well. So now, of course, everything is virtual, but still I feel like, sometimes when you're juggling family, being in person is so much more harder. Driving from the east side to, say, Seattle for a networking event was so much more harder. But now it's so much easier. It's all virtual. There are some good things as well.
Right.
As of course, as parents, we're, with kids in school, so it's not easy to just get up and leave somewhere, right? So it is truly a great opportunity. I think you should find like Women in Cloud. They're very open. They provide they provide so many opportunities for networking. Those are key skills. You never know who you meet, and then it kind of comes around at a later time.
Right.
And it's amazing how the dots connect.
Yes.
So I would say that you got to put yourself out there, be confident about what you want to do, and when you present yourself, be willing to also listen to the other person's story, right? Don't just look at it from just your perspective, but then also from the other person's perspective, and because they're in there to get something as well. So that is really important.
Yeah, and that's super consistent with the guidance that we provide at the Swing Shift, right? You're building a long-term relationship so that when the right thing presents itself, you're not just engaging in this very transactional engagement, right? And we've been hearing, it's funny, we were talking with Britt and Adrienne at Accolade a couple of days ago about this, and they both said, oh yeah, that, the relationship building right now especially is super critical, because they want to know who they're going to be working with. And Britt in particular, I think she's in a very high profile job, is saying, I am so tired of these transactional, inquiries of, hey, how are you? I'm looking for a job. How about you? She's like, I'd like to know, how do we know each other again? What, how are things going for you? How are things going for me? It's really important to have, as Yasmin said, to have there be something in it for both of you.
And
And I
also,
want to
Nancy,
leave with this. Oh, sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say one thing about, so Heather had the question about mentors in the HR field. That would be a great question to ask next week to Britt when she's here, because 2 weeks, excuse me, 2 weeks, because she has spent her whole career pretty much locally within the HR field. And then I also wanted to say one more thing about when you reach out to people, some of you may not, because you feel like you aren't clear on what you're looking for and what you want to do next. And that is okay. What you want to be clear on is what you want from them. You don't have to know. You can be exploring opportunities. You can say, I don't know exactly if I want to go in here. I'm just exploring my options, and I'm connecting with people that are in really interesting and cool roles right now. These are the 3 questions that I'd be interested in learning from you. So don't not reach out to people if you're uncertain about where you want to be, but be clear about what you're needing from them, even if it's just exploring options.
Right.
Yeah, and I want to just leave with one final thought, and this is very key as a business, business owner. I am learning to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So when everything is smooth sailing and comfortable, you're not challenging yourself. So you have to be in the zone that, it's kind of uncomfortable. It's like, okay, if I have to go talk in front of an audience of, say, 1,000 people, now that's going to make me very uncomfortable. I'm going to be very conscious, but I'm pushing my limits, right? I mean, that's just a very simple example. But so you have to, whether it's being in upskilling or in learning different things or putting yourself out there in networking with people, get used to being uncomfortable. And that's one of the signs that you're pushing your limits.
Yasmin, we had a question from the chat. How long did it take you to replace your salary via Skillshare or Skillspire? And what did you do to bridge your income during the ramp up time?
Yeah, well, I am married to a guy who was able to support him. So, so that definitely helped. But I think when I was working, I did save quite a bit, because, I was married at that time. I was, I didn't have kids. And, but before I took a break, I did save quite a bit, and that kept me going. And of course, with, with my, spouse, I think that helped a bit. And now, I mean, it's when you run your business, it's how much you want to take. Do you want to take, when you're a startup, it's not like you're making big bucks. It's more about my passion to give back to the community than building a huge, business. It's elevating the community along with everything else.
Another approach that we've seen people take when they're going that route is to take a part-time or a contract job to pay the bills, and then to work, 10 or 20 hours on that work that will keep your home afloat, and then work the other 20 hours a week on your new enterprise. And at some point, you can make the crossover where you say, well, I'm making money here, but I'm putting my effort here. And at some point, I'm going to start making money from this other thing. But Yasmin, you're right. Particularly if you're thinking about an entrepreneurial route, I think the polite way to talk about it is deferred compensation, right? When you're looking for it down the line. And many people can't do that. So you need to make money now. And so for that, we have a lot of great partners, including Simplicity Consulting, Blueprint Technologies, Blake Ryan Consulting, and they provide a range of roles in a range of industries. You can get in there and, make some money while you're looking to make your next step. So, all right, Sarah I think, we've taken a lot of Yasmin's time. So unless there's something else, I think we're gonna wrap things up. Was there anything else, Sarah, from our end?
No, we just have a couple people left on the call. If you're able to stay in a breakout room, you can connect with them. And I think a good question to kick off the call with is, what brought you here today? What is it that had you deciding to show up and listen to what Yasmin had to say? And with that, you will be getting a notification shortly about getting into those breakout rooms. And Yasmin, do you have anything else that you want to add before we go?
No, I'm good. I'll be in the breakout room if anyone wants to, ask any questions.
Wonderful.
Thank you. That would be great. Yasmin, this was just so insightful. And I know we have a bigger conversation next week, and I'm really looking forward to that one too. So thank you all. Please stay for the breakout, since Yasmin has generously offered to stay and answer your questions. And we'll see you next week. If you're not already in our community page, make sure that you join, because we have daily interactions on there.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.